one point I want to talk about, you mentioned that about pitching projects.
A lot of credentials to your name, or you have very good contacts. When I was in first year, I was advised to leave. I think people don't take you very seriously.
This is something that nobody teaches you, nobody talks
Yes,
to you
there is
about
no
it.
formal education. I landed up my first project when I was, I think, 23 or something. Struggle is still there.
Hi guys, today I have Shweta Kaw with me. She is the principal architect of Studio Meraki. We're based in Noida, and today we are here at her office and we are talking about a lot of things, and we are exploring who Shweta is as a human being, not just as a designer. Welcome, Shweta.
Thank
How are
God
you?
someone did that. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming all the
Yeah.
way here. I'm very excited. I see if the very famous Utsav Kamboj is coming to do a podcast with me, I must have done something right in life, I think.
I think you've done some absolutely stunning work. You've done some
Thank
remarkable
you.
work. You've been recognized for it. We're going to delve more on that. But for now, like we talked about a couple of minutes back, how you have been as a student and how you have, brought yourself here as an award-winning.
When I started, I've not had a journey like a lot of youngsters right now where you immediately graduate, you work a bit, and then you start your own practice, because I think the amount of avenues and opportunities available today because of social media, digital marketing is so much. So in my time, it was very different. When I say my time, I'm not that old, yeah, but still, I graduated in 2006, actually, to be very precise. So, yeah, a long, long time back. I was a very miserable student in college. Sorry to start the podcast on that note, but it can be extremely unnerving. But I was all the time, how do you say, like a topper in school, top 5 always. And you might be very surprised to hear this, but I scored 100 on 100 in maths in CBSE in 12th, which was kind of, yeah, a bit tough that time. इतने number नहीं मिलते थे उस time पे. So yeah, I was like a way, beyond the league, as I would say. I mean, I'm not trying to boast about myself, but it was like that. So when I went to college, I would say I was like an average student, or maybe below average, perceived by my professors mostly. So much so that after first year, or maybe when I was in first year, I was advised to leave also by some of my professors. Actually advised me to leave because they thought that
the
probably
typical answer that you don't belong here. Maybe try something else.
maybe I actually was a bit miserable because I think I was not able to pull off late nighters. I was a very dedicated, very strict routine kind of a person, and when I came into architecture, the routine just flew out of the window. I was not able to manage. After first year, I remember telling my dad that maybe I should leave, and I actually told him to get the forms for DU, as you say, because I got through all, like, St. Stephen's, LSR, SRCC, economics honors, I was all sorted. So I thought maybe I can apply again and I have the same percentile, so I can get through again. So I was actually very seriously thinking about not pursuing and, continuing with this field. I was having a very tough time in college. I've had an exhaustive teenage life.
So what changed?
I think I had to pull myself up. I had to really pull up my socks. And maybe by second year, third year, things improved a bit. And I think I was at my full potential only in fourth and fifth year. So I've mostly been extremely sad and miserable all the time. And for someone who's always been at the top of their game, suddenly falls below average or an average student, it really takes a toll on you. And especially when you're very young, you're 18 or 19, you're not able to handle that. And I remember that once I failed in a subject as well, some theory subject. And
Don't tell me structures.
no, it was history.
Oh.
Not that I wasn't good in study. I didn't even know what happened actually. So I remember one of my school friends knew one of my batchmates. And he said, she cannot fail. The university is wrong. I think the whole university is a sham. probably. Maybe university is not recognized only. So nobody could believe it. So I was very heartbroken, yeah, very heartbroken. I think I had to pull myself up, and I knew that I could do it. I knew that I was creative. I had always had a creative bent of mind, and I always somewhere deep down in my heart knew that I could do this for the rest of my life.
I'll honestly add something here. I have failed a lot in college. I never cared about it.
No, but I was a very serious person, no? Like
No, I
coming
was
first
like,
all the time. So
I was like, I'll make something out of this life. It's okay if I failed an exam, that's fine. I was always an average student and I was perfectly happy being an average student.
well, I think then that's a good approach to have actually, but I was very serious about it because I was getting 95% all the time in school.
So there was
and
this huge identity shift that came. to
yeah,
you.
because in school, all the teachers are just like all around me. My parents are coming and they are just praising me like so much. And now I'm not getting any attention. And the teachers are kind of thinking that ये लड़की ने course क्यों join किया है, मतलब क्या सोच के join किया है. So it was very heartbreaking for me. But as you say that someone who has to make a way has to make a way and has to break through mountains. So I think our education is college education in architecture is no, it makes us. I think we all have like these iron rods within. I feel you can hammer, 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 chop, chop, chop. Ultimately, you will reach an iron rod which you will not be able to break. Our education makes us like that. Our professors were also very painful. So everything was very painful.
The
somehow.
breaking models and tearing sheets, all of that happened.
There was, I think, mental trauma.
Very traumatic 5 years of our life.
I think I was very bad. I mean, I think if any of my professors or my friends listen to this podcast, probably they will not realize it. But my best friend was like this topper, and she used to work at Zaha later on, and I was just like, मेरे में क्या कमी रह गई? Like, what is wrong? Something is really off. But then I think after college, I was able to pull it off somehow. And that's how my beginning was. So I have spent 48 hours in LSR attending economics honors, realizing that that's cannot happen. It has to be, I mean, even if it's tough, I'll go back and I'll restart and start it all over again. So as I said, I had to kind of restart again. And I did succeed to some extent. Maybe I was not the topper, but I was amongst the better ones. I did a fairly good thesis.
So what kind of identity shifts did you go through when you started the business? How was the initial first couple of years like?
So I started my business, I think after 12 years of working, which is quite a long time, because I was working in a lot of offices. And then I went to Singapore for 2 years where I did my master's and I was working there as well. So then I came back, then I joined another office. So I've had like these, an array of experiences in different offices plus abroad. So I had this, how do you say, I had so many learnings on the way before I could actually culminate them into starting my own practice. So the story of starting my own practice is also a bit different because my first project, actually, I landed up my first project when I was, I think, 23 or something, which was a 40-room hotel. And getting a 40-room hotel to do at the age of 23, obviously, I was very sure that I would never be able to do it. So I was asking around here and there to my mentors or, that, you think I should take up this project? He's like, obviously, who gets a hotel to do? Like, when you start your practice, you get residences or maybe some interiors, or people will come to you and say that, okay, aap hamare liye ye wall bana denge types. But I took up that challenge and it was a real challenge for me because I didn't have much knowledge of services and it was complex for me. But I pulled it off. But I think that project, what it taught me was patience because it took how many years to get built. So people cry these days that 2 साल हो गए हमारा project नहीं शुरू हुआ. I think it took around 8 years to get started and probably get built. So when the project started, I went to do my master's. So I was there, I was working, and the project was going on here. I was coming, doing site visits. So as my life was progressing, the project was simultaneously progressing. So it's taken this 8 to 10 year of lifespan to get complete. So by the time I started my own practice, I was very sure that I wanted to do something of my own now. And this project just got completed. So my first project to pitch was ready, and I think after that, there has been no looking back, as I say. But identity shift, if I talk about, I think people don't take you very seriously unless and until you have either you have a lot of credentials to your name, or you have very good contacts, or you have a lot of backing. Maybe someone is in construction in your family. But if you are a single sole founder of a business, it takes a lot of time to gain a lot of credibility from whosoever you're pitching your business to. And the struggle is still there. Even after years of doing this, the struggle is for real. The struggle is different, but it's still there.
Right. And then when you're working with someone else, there are certain aspects that you're looking at. You're working in a design studio and you're thinking like a designer.
Yeah.
But then when you start on your own, you also have to think like a business owner, because at the end of the day, the cash flow has
Need
to
to make ends
be
meet.
there.
Yes.
It has to be consistent. You have to pay the bills, you have to pay your people. And then in general, any designer is used to only the design side of work. And then suddenly shifting to that side of work and then juggling in between and trying to blend both of them, that is the mindset shift that I was talking about, that this is something that nobody teaches you, nobody talks
Yes,
to you
there is
about
no
it.
formal education.
No formal education. Even if you're working in an office, you'll just learn something here and there. But when things come to you, when you have to look at the finances and when you look at the balance sheet, you're like, oh my God, what just happened?
I think I did make that mistake initially when I was, I had this enthusiasm that, oh, yes, we will design something. We will win the Pulitzer Prize someday, kind of an approach. But as things started progressing, so initially you could maybe, reject some projects, or uh, what I used to think initially was very different. The way my thought process is now is extremely different. I think because we don't have any training in business, neither from college nor from any office, we are all kind of supposed to sacrifice a lot and put in that midnight oil, burning that midnight oil, putting in a lot of hours, and going the extra mile, and thinking not so much about the business part of it. So initially what I used to do was, I think one of my initial projects, I think I was focused so much on getting everything right because I was so fresh and boiling with enthusiasm that I didn't realize that the project was actually going into a negative, because the amount of working hours I was giving to the project, and I was doing innumerable visits to the site that were not even required. But because I had that blood rush in me, I was doing way more than required. I was not valuing my time so much. I was not setting boundaries. So when I talk about setting boundaries with the client, setting boundaries with everyone in the team, I was not caring about the business part of it, because I was just swayed by this whole thing of, I have a new project, I have a new site, and these are my 3D views, I need to translate them. So there was this very unidimensional approach that I was having. And because I obviously, when you start a practice, your main motive is to build up a portfolio, because you need, by hook or by crook, you have to have at least 5, 6, 7
Things to
number
show.
of projects so that you can pitch ahead, pitch for better projects, bigger projects. So in that turmoil, you tend to ignore the business side of it. And now when I look back, I think that maybe I should have done things in a better way in terms of time management, in terms of how many hours I could have given to each project versus the
The
paycheck
ROI, yeah.
that I was getting. So now I am wise enough to understand that this is the X amount that I'm getting, and I need not be emotional about every project. Of course, you have to be emotional about it because ultimately at the end of the day, it's your brainchild.
Yeah, it's but on the design table.
It's about overdoing in any relationship. So you have relationships with your family, your husband, your partner, and if you go overboard in any relationship, ultimately it will break apart. So the same goes with work, because that also is a relationship. Ultimately, in a project also, you are building up a relationship with the client. They might be temporary relationships. In my case, they're mostly temporary. I end up fighting mostly at the end of it, especially for payments. I
Good
send
point.
legal notices to clients even after knowing that I will not get my money, but I'm very aggressive on that front. So, I have lost a lot of money. I'm sure you have, and everybody has, but that's just a part of the learning. It's not about the money, but it's about learning with each project that you need to respect your time. You need to respect your staff's time as well. A lot of times we are reworking a lot on projects, and because we think that okay, we have a team, so it's okay, they can put in some extra hours and do. Why?
Yeah,
You,
they have a life.
no, that way my office is very chilled out. I mean, I think my employees are telling me to work more because but after 6, I'm not talking to anybody. So that way I have learned a lot because I've also done my overnight stays in offices where I've worked, and I've realized that it's absolute bullshit.
One point I want to talk about, you mentioned that about pitching projects.
Yeah.
So the ratio of you getting the leads and you pitching, how was that like? Because you're the first person who's talking about pitching projects.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, how else would you see? You build a brand. Why do you build a brand? Because you want your pitch to be better. I was at the end of it. We all are architects. We want to design well. If it's true for all designers. It can be interior designers. It can be product designers. We want our creation to be the best, and we want to win an award. We want to get published.
And how did you go about pitching projects when you were just getting started, maybe a couple of years in the business?
I think mostly it was word of mouth. So people were not taking me seriously because I think there was not enough finesse in my pitch. So I'll be very honest about it. I'm not going to mince words, but probably I was not so polished because when you're doing a job, you are just focusing on meeting the deadline for that particular day. Your boss is on your head. There are 10,000 people on your head. Your WhatsApp and phone is just ringing all the time. So your focus is to finish 10 or 15 things in a day, go home, think about the same things in your sleep that you have to complete the next day, and you reach the next day, you have to complete 10 things more.
Yeah.
That is it. Of course, you learn a lot. I'm not saying that,
But the
you've
design
never,
and technicalities of it, yeah.
you
Not
have
the
to learn
business
it,
of it.
but then there's no business teaching because the business is run by someone else.
Right.
And even if you climb the ladders in, say, an international or corporate firm, and you maybe reach like a VP or something, that takes a lot of years. It's still not the same. It's still not the same because you're representing an ex company. You're not representing your heart and soul. So when I was going for pitches, I think I was coming across as a solopreneur who wants to do a lot in life, but maybe does not have the kind of meat that is required to do a project. So people were all the time questioning my abilities to be able to actually execute it or maybe lead a construction team. So it is as bad as when I was, say, my first project that I was talking about, which is a 40-room hotel in Katra. I remember sitting in that hotel. So I went for a photo shoot in 2018, that when it got built. So I remember sitting in the lobby of the hotel, which I have designed and which has taken forever to get built. So I'm having this moment of glory. And my client comes with a person and he introduces me that, okay, she's the architect of the project. He's not able to just wrap his head around it. And he's asking me that, so the first thought that comes to mind when you see a female architect is that, oh, she must have done the interiors or the decor.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get into the male-female part. I'm sorry. It just sounds very cliche and repetitive. But
this has happened with me so
I'm sure all of
often.
us. But the strange question that he asked me was that, आपने ये होटल शुरू से बनाया है? मतलब ये एक पहले खाली ज़मीन थी और उसके ऊपर ये जो पूरा बना है वो आपने बनाया है.
ये आपने बस अंदर अंदर कुछ ऐसे ऐसे कर दिया.
So I did not understand his question, and I just wanted to be very polite, and I said yes. He was not able to believe it. So how do you, if this person who's been introduced to me by the client, my client, is not able to convince or is not getting convinced, I'm sitting in the same hotel, which is an award-winning project. If that person is not getting convinced, how will I convince a person who's an outsider? So I had to really work hard in terms of structuring and writing. So what happens is a lot of times we think that, okay, we just take our work and we'll pitch. You have to structure your pitch. You have to write down each and everything. And you have to really write all the positives as well as negatives that you have, scan through what and how you're going to pitch it, how you're going to hide your weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. So how do you camouflage your weaknesses, and how do you shine through your strengths in your project and in your pitch is the deal breaker. Because see, after a point, once you have enough work in your portfolio, you will maybe get a bit famous, you might get a bit of social media attention, so people start believing you more. So ironically, if you have a good social media presence, people believe more in you. So I don't want to get into that debate as to how much right or wrong that is, but that is the truth for today, and that is not going to change. So now that I have a decent amount of credibility, what is different from before is that if I pitch today, people go back and look at my body of work or my LinkedIn, and they don't have a doubt that I'll not be able to do it. But the struggle is different. Struggle is maybe for fees or maybe something else. No, but this struggle is still there about will you be able to execute it, or whether you will be able to handle the site or not. And it also has happened that, again, some of my ex-bosses meet me at some events and they say, we should have hired you that time, we did a mistake. We thought that you would not be able to lead the studio. So, because I don't know why, but they always thought that maybe a male was more proficient to lead a studio. And now they see me and they say, oh, we made a mistake. So I'm like, okay, your loss.
Good for me.
Your loss, sorry to say. You need to write down everything. You need to be very well prepared, because the competition in the market is so cutthroat. It is so cutthroat that even people who are, say, 50 plus or 60 plus, who've already aced it all, I think they are also facing a lot of competition from the youngsters. So, and we are not just competing with qualified degree holders. We are competing with so many unqualified professionals as well.
That's the bigger problem.
Yeah, you have draftsmen, you have diploma holders, you have contractors. Oh, contractors is a new competition actually. I mean, there was a time when clients used to engage us and we used to hire a contractor and they used to do the work. So it was very simple flowchart. Now contractors are hiring architects. So the whole ballgame has changed. The economics has changed. Pitches have changed. Clients want to maybe still talk about design, but contractors are only interested in talking about money. So how pitches have changed, especially since EPC has come in, especially in government projects, because I have been a part of 2-3 pitches for, projects, bigger projects, EPC projects, in which big contractors are there in the picture and they are actually hiring you. The pitch is totally different, because the n number of views I make or a beautiful imagery that I create, they are really not interested. At the end of the day, they are telling me that all that is fine. All that is something that we know about you. We've seen your work. Our question is that this is the amount of money, and can you do this in this much money and this much amount of time? That is it.
It's just a yes or no question.
Are you efficient enough to do it? That's about it.
That's how contractors talk. हो जाएगा, इतने में हो जाएगा, इतने में हो जाएगा बस.
Yeah, but the market has changed. How do you? I mean, of course, it's tough to find your niche clientele now. Like that, that pie chart, the pie is reducing for everybody. But your pitch also changes. Everything changes with time. And now it's not just contractors, but vendors also are coming with leads and saying that I can connect you here.
Vendors call them interior designers, no? They call themselves interior designers.
They are also trying to pitch work Work in the sense they want work. So they are trying to connect that, okay, I can connect you to so and so department, purchase department or the contracts department of this particular agency. And if you get the work, then probably hire us for this particular product. So ways through which the projects are coming is changed a lot, especially post COVID. I think the past 5 years have it's just in the blink of the eye. I think the whole market scenario has changed. So how we are pitching for projects has also changed. Spoken much more than desired, I think.
Maybe, but it's an interesting take, I must say.
Yeah, I recently pitched for. It was a very huge project. We did a pre-bid concept report for them, and I think we all were like so excited that such a big project, and we used AI, we used Mid-Journey, so much we put in 10 days, and we assembled a concept report, and ultimately they won the bid also. But after that, they didn't look back at us. I mean, they got the project now. They will hire a contractor and they just do it. So
What?
yeah.
Okay. That's bad.
Yeah, you become like this iron inside. No chance. No option.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about your advice for young architects.
Okay, I don't want to sound very preachy, but young architects lack patience.
Yeah. So let's say I'm a young architect, right?
Yeah, you
First of
are a
all,
young architect. It's
I
not
mean-
about let's say.
I mean, really, really young. Like
Okay.
I just graduated maybe 4 years back, and I'm thinking of starting my own practice, and I'm looking at different ways to get out there and do stuff. What would be like 3 words of wisdom or 3 thumb rules that you would give me? Do this, and you will get sorted.
My first advice would be the absolute antithesis of the entire thought of starting a practice. I would say that at least work for 5 years somewhere. And there are a lot of people who want to do masters. That is a different set of people. But I really think that you need to give it at least 5 years of really slogging it out somewhere to learn the trade. And it's not always about, people say that I think we design better than our bosses. That's fine. You can think whatever you want to, but that's not the only skill to be learned. And at the end of the day, design is only, say, 10%, getting reduced to 5% or even lesser. That's the tragedy, but that's the truth. So if you need to survive in this market, you need to know how to manage a team. You need to know how to go to site, how to talk to people, how to do firefighting, is what I say. Firefighting is a main skill that is required, because ultimately everybody is there is going to be a lot of turmoil in a project. No project is smooth sailing. No project goes like a wonder. So ultimately, how do you learn to do all that? So there is a lot of project management that needs to be, understood. So I would say that really work hard for at least 5-6 years. Train yourself. Getting trained is extremely important until you can, ultimately maybe. And obviously, it helps you focus more as to what you exactly want to do. Like when I was in college, I used to think that I'll do a master's in interior design. But after I started working, I never thought about it again. So when you're in college, your ideas are in the very germination stage, very nascent, and you don't have that sort of an expertise or an experience that you can finally take correct decisions for yourself. So even it's the same advice for people who are trying to do masters. I say work for 2-3 years, figure out what you like. I know so many people who are not practicing architecture also anymore. So if suppose I graduate and I take a decision to this or that, I've not set my foot in the industry as yet. So maybe I just hate it and I want to leave it. So what do you do then? So maybe I graduate and I see that, oh my God, this is like very tough. I want to do something simpler. So how do you give yourself that room to take the correct decision for yourself? So one would be that to get trained in a good office. The first office is very important. So I say this all the time, and I would say it again, that my first office laid the foundation for what I am today. And I thank them all the time for it. So that is important. And secondly, I think, I mean, again, I don't want to talk like this, the second generation always scolding the new generation that you don't have patience, but genuinely architecture requires a lot of patience. Because if you're thinking that you've just done a project and why is it not materializing, it's been a few months, why is the client not giving me a decision so soon, why is there a delay in the handover, sorry, but it's not MasterChef where you just cook and the dish comes right away and you taste it. It's not that kind of a profession. You need
Architecture is really, you need to be really
it's
patient.
very tough.
Interior projects are still a little bit faster.
Yes, but they also can, I did one room renovation. That took 2 years.
Okay.
I have done it, for whatever reason. So it has. You can't do anything about it. There's a lot of unforeseen circumstances, there are a lot of uncertainties which you cannot account for in the beginning. So when you are, again, the business side comes here, that you're accounting for a project, you are maybe, say, everybody has their own ways of how to decide the fee for a project. So some people are doing a per square foot, some people are doing a construction cost percentage, some people are putting in thinking that, okay, it's a smaller project, so I'll do a per month thing, or this many hours I'm putting thing. Ultimately, so nothing is going to work if the project spans, so you need to have clauses in your contract which can protect you from this harassment. Ultimately, contracts are also, we know in our country how much they're followed, but at least it gives you a backup.
I think learning basics of legalities is
very important. Contract management.
Yeah.
Either you have very good, and you need to have a very good lawyer. Okay, so we always talk about that, okay, I'm an architect, I need to have a very good site supervisor, I need to have a very good project manager, I need to have a very good architect in my office. Sorry, dude, but you also need to have a very good
bunch of lawyers.
Bunch of lawyers, CAs. You need it. It'll be very good if you know someone in the police as well. Whatever it takes. Chief Justice of India, whatever it takes. It is extremely complex. So we always find that people are struggling with, okay, you might run a very huge architecture practice, but you're just confused as to what is GST, what is input credit, and just so lost about it. I am sorry, but it's a very half-hearted practice that you're running. If you're not aware of,
if you can't read your numbers, you're not running a business.
You should watch Shark Tank, maybe. No, because you need to be very quick with your numbers. Because as we are taught to talk about, when you go for a pitch, for example, you talk a lot about numbers. So they will ask you, okay, so what do you think will be the cost for this project? What do you think will be the per square feet for this? If you use wood versus marble, so what do you think? And you need to have some sort of, you always have this per square foot thumb rules in your mind, and you have to immediately come up with numbers. So we kind of develop our skill set in that direction, but never in the other direction. A lot of times you are giving a fee, but not accounting for the amount of tax that you would be, liable for it, or say, how many employees and what is happening, what is that all metrics needs to be learned, because otherwise you will landing up in bankruptcy. Nobody wants. You can have rainy days, but for how long? And ultimately, it's a business. It is a cutthroat business. I mean, again, I might sound very crude, but that's the reality of it.
I agree. I totally agree with you. Okay, so you mentioned after working for 5 years, you went on to do masters.
Yes, I went for masters after working around 6 years.
6 years, and you did masters in sustainability.
Building performance and sustainability, to be very precise, but yes, you can say masters in sustainability.
And then when you started working as a practice, how was your approach towards projects and towards making client understand why this is an important measure to be incorporated in a project?
Again, sounding very client is not interested. No client is interested in sustainability.
But again, any small measures that
I'll tell you. So if you're able to convince the client that this is a way of saving money, they will be interested in sustainability. That is the way to go about it. And when we talk about sustainability because it's a buzzword for sure, and everybody's talking about sustainability. So when I was actually, I didn't go with an intention to do a master's in sustainability because my course was a lot of building performance also. So what I actually learned there was that we talk a lot very subjectively, especially architects here. So we'll talk about, okay, so we need to make this energy efficient. So what do we do? So we should use LED, we should use VRV. It does not carry any meaning. All these statements don't carry a meaning. I say, okay, this is a sustainable product. This is a recycled wood. Sorry, very shallow, half-hearted approach. Because, for example, if I need to if I need to assess the performance of something, say I need to assess your performance, I will need to do a blood test, an ECG, something. So I have a numerical report in front of me to be able to assess you vis-a-vis another person, or maybe just you. So the same way, a building performance needs to be tested. So how do you test that your building is actually sustainable? You need to probably say have some goals in mind that, okay, I need an energy efficiency of say 20% from a baseline building. So I will do an evaluation of a baseline building and probably your building. So there are softwares, there's a plethora of softwares, for energy performance, energy modeling these days. So everything has to be numerical in terms of numerical data. So there's this very famous saying in NUS when I was in NUS. So one of our professors, who was also Indian in ethnicity, used to tell all the Indian students especially that, I know in India you all architects have this habit of drawing these arrows in your sheet and saying this is the wind flow. So that does not have any meaning because the wind is not flowing according to your arrows. Show me a computational fluid dynamics simulation of your model. That is how the wind flows. So that is the difference. Everything has to be tabulated numerically, and that is how you have to assess a building. So all this talk of how you want to have this rating for this building and this rating for this building, what is happening mostly is, I have also worked on a few of these projects. So what happens is that you are not applying these metrics at the concept stage. A lot of people will come in, they will design a building, they will have very good elevation, everything has gone through, and then suddenly there's this sustainable design consultant that comes into the picture and says, we need to have a 5-star rating. So how to do it? So then they will try as to, okay, how many points? They will open that sheet. Oh, you want Griha? You want lead? You want what? Oh, you want this? Okay, fine. Oh, we have this, we have this. Oh, we don't have rainwater harvesting. Let's do rainwater harvesting. So it's a very post-design approach. But that's how, since I worked as a sustainable design consultant also in Singapore, that's not how it's done. You have to get the person on board and design a building that is sustainable. And then you kind of start reducing the energy metrics for it. So you don't really need to get into such complication. It's like, I'll give you an example. My first building that I did when I was at 23, it is saving say 30% of energy than another hotel in the same area, because my client owns 2 more hotels. So he gave me this feedback. So all of 23, I did not do my master's, but it's very simple climatology and massing orientation and how you are building your building. Can't you do those basics? I mean, you don't need to get into very complicated rating systems for it. So the building has, it's 100% daylit without any heat gain. So how do you do it without the help of any softwares or any complex degree? So I want the youngsters to understand that you all have it in your basic education. You don't need to go into these sustainability specialized courses to have that green badge or that green wash on you to be able to do anything sustainable. But the understanding is a bit shallow. So you need to go back to your basics. When you're designing, be sensitive to the climate, to the sun direction, to the wind movement, you will automatically achieve a building. How were the Havelis done?
Yeah.
So it is the very basic principles of building science, and that is about it. Forget about all these companies promoting, you know, their own kind of products. That is a very afterthought. So what people are doing these days is an afterthought. What I am saying is that you don't have a choice but to be sustainable. It's not that you design something, then you decide, oh, let's choose 5 sustainable products and just in the building. So that's not the way to do it.
काफी सारा ज्ञान मिला आज हमें.
I've just got overboard, I know.
No, it was, I think for any person who's still trying to get a hang of, this niche, then I think that they have got quite a good sense of direction that, ये सब ऊपर की बातें हैं. Actual में you just need to focus on
Basics.
what's there, basics. Yeah, it always starts with basics. I'm gonna ask you one last question.
Yes.
Who is Shweta Kaw? Anything that people cannot guess about you?
Well, there are certain things that nobody knows apart from I think my friends would be that I used to learn violin. I was very interested in classical music. I used to train a lot. I think along the way, a lot of things have just gone by. I used to write poetry as well. So I think I have been a lot into, these a bit of poetry, a bit of music. I'm a Reiki healer as well. So there are a lot of other things that are going around, but I still feel that I'm so sucked in my business because business is tough and business is different from design. It is the business of design now. So apart from that, I think I am a very chilled out person in terms of I have a very strong personality in terms of I don't succumb to pressure. I recently have rejected a project which was too huge and too prestigious for the office just because we were not being treated with respect. So
I've done that. ये दो बैठे पूछो.
Yeah, but maybe if I tell you the project, you might just look around and say, what? So
no, but then if they're not respecting you, then it's not worth it.
But these days what I've seen is this also is a problem with the industry now. That everybody is just succumbing to that ऐसा तो होता ही आजकल इतना तो सुनना ही पड़ता है. And I have actually just become very overboard with being a bit more aggressive and trying to, how do you say, you need to stand up for yourself because nobody else is going to do that. So you need to have a voice of your own. Be it in construction, not in construction, you need to be very vocal about what you feel and you need to put it on your table.
Right.
So being a vocal person is a very inherent part of my personality. A lot of times another mistake that I used to do, that suppose that the client has a very meager budget and I know that the project can't be built in this much, I will still say a yes to get a project and then I'll think, okay, later on I'll negotiate. A lot of times. But then I realized that that's totally wrong. You need to give a clear picture. You need to say a no. You need to be extremely vocal about what you feel. Not just your professional life, but as well as in your personal life. Yeah. You need to be very vocal about what you feel.
Like you mentioned that while you're working with a client, that is also a relationship. And communication and respect are two important pillars of a relationship.
It is man management.
Yeah.
Running a practice is man management. You will design, of course. You will go to site. You will do the regular drawings, checking, screaming at people. But ultimately, if you're not good at managing people and you're not able to build relationships, you will not be able to do anything. And it's not just the relationship with your client. If you go to site, I am telling you, if you develop a good relationship with even the labor or the contractor, the supervisors who are working there, your project journey will be very smooth. So it is building relationship with everybody along the way. That is the only way you can do it well. That is the only way.
All right, time for rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you 6 questions and you have to answer it within 5 seconds.
Okay? 1 second.
1 second, okay. What gets you out of bed every day?
No cliche like, oh, my passion for work. No, nothing like that. Of course, it's there, but I think
5 seconds.
Okay, sorry. I thought I had to answer within 5 seconds. Okay. Ability to have another happy day. My belief that it will be another happy day for me.
Okay. 3 words to describe your design style.
Simple, contemporary, and elegant.
Nice. A material that you swear by in all your projects.
Wood, because it brings you closer to nature.
Your mantra to keep yourself and your team going.
Meditate every day and just be very chilled out. There's no point stressing over things. There's absolutely no point.
Yeah. Okay. A design style that is trending but needs to stop immediately.
I think homes need not be marble showcases, according to me. Anymore.
Good point. Yeah.
It's not a jewelry showroom.
And I think I would like to add one more thing. A home should look like a home, not a hotel.
These days, all homes are looking like jewelry showrooms to me, somehow.
Yeah. Okay. A design style that is fading away but should have gone sooner.
Okay, I don't know whether it's fading away. I think it is. Overload of Pinterest is fading away, I feel now. Because if you see, all residences have started looking very similar. All beds are same. I think even that painting is the same in every project. So all lamps are the same. So I think it is fading away now because it's not adding up. Clients are also aware now. So it should go away soon.
It should be gone.
Yeah,
go away
yeah.
soon.
I'm
It
sure
should
it
be
will.
gone. All right. It was a fun conversation. And I
long.
hope to all the people who are watching this video or listening to this audio, I hope you guys have fun. And let us know in the comments, what did you think about the podcast?
I hope it was not very preachy though. I mean,
I don't think so.
thankfully.
I don't think so. All right. It was a fun, approximately an hour conversation, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
happy we
Why
did
not?
it.
So happy.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.